Have you ever made a decision that felt safe, but turned out to be a quiet surrender? A choice that didn't hurt in the moment, but over time, you started to realize you weren't living the life you once knew anymore. Not everyone notices that change right away. It comes slowly, so slowly, like someone gently pulling the curtain over the light behind you. No sound, no warning, and by the time darkness completely settles in, you've gotten so used to it that you no longer remember what the light looked like. Judith is 76, a devoted mother, a loving grandmother, and a nurse for nearly 40 years. She's not someone who's easily convinced, but after a slight fall in the bathroom, after feeling unusually tired just cooking a simple meal, and after a few phone calls from her daughter, worried and gentle, Judith began to consider her family's suggestion seriously. Moving into a nursing home. "You don't need to do anything anymore, Mom," her daughter said softly, smiling. "There'll be someone to take care of you 24/7. You'll have friends your age. There'll be nurses and doctors. You'll be healthier, happier." Judith looked around the home she'd lived in for over 30 years. The family photos on the walls, the old worn armchair where she read every evening, the comforting smell of her tiny kitchen after each meal she made herself. She said nothing, then nodded. A week later, Judith moved into the nursing home. The room was clean, with a private bathroom. Meals were served on time. Nurses were always available. There were people to play chess with, others knitting. Everything seemed just fine. Judith felt relieved at first. No more worrying about groceries, cooking, cleaning. No more sudden dizzy spells. And her daughter finally at ease. But then things began to shift. Not in significant, obvious ways, but in the smallest of details. Judith woke up earlier than usual one morning, just as she had for decades. She got out of bed, wanting a warm cup of tea, but the shared kitchen wasn't open yet, and breakfast tea didn't include the kind she liked. So she went back to her room, sat down. She picked up the book she still hadn't finished since moving in. Then, a knock on the door. A nurse stepped in. "Time for your blood pressure check, Judith. 7:15 sharp. We've got a schedule. Everyone follows it, okay?" The next day, Judith wanted to go outside earlier than usual, but the staff weren't available yet. By the time someone could take her, the sun was already too hot. She gave up. A week passed. Judith realized she no longer decided when to eat. She couldn't choose what to watch on TV. The standard room only had one channel. She didn't pick her meals. The menu rotated on a fixed weekly schedule. And the worst part, when she asked to bring a small flower pot into her room, the same kind she used to grow on her porch, an employee shook her head. "Sorry, no plants allowed in rooms. That's the rule." All those tiny things, one by one, like little needles pricking through the soft fabric called freedom. Until Judith began to wonder, is this still my life? She wasn't in pain. She was cared for, fed, and watched over. She had a bed, a morning greeting, and regular checkups. But she felt herself fading. Not in health, but in identity. She lost the feeling of choice. She lost her habits, her voice, the space just to be herself. And that's when Judith realized rest isn't the same as freedom. Comfort doesn't always mean happiness. And sometimes the safe choice is the one that costs you the most. This video is not here to criticize nursing homes. We're not saying they're bad or all the same. We want to share with you 6 honest truths that almost no one talks about until it's too late to turn back. Chapter 1. Everything seemed fine for the first few days. Day 5. Judith sat by the window, watching the sunlight stretch across the lavender bushes in the garden. Everything was calm, clean. Nothing was wrong. There's nothing to complain about. And that was precisely what unsettled her the most. Since moving into the nursing home, Judith's life had become so easy that she no longer needed to think. Every morning, the bell rang at 6:30. Someone came in gently, greeted her softly, and opened the curtains. 7 breakfast served, exactly as planned. 9 what? Blood pressure check, medication. 11:30 lunch. 3 group activity. 5:30 dinner. 8 the room lights dimmed automatically. Everything was on time. Everything followed a routine, and nothing required her to make a single decision. At first, Judith felt relieved. After so many years of caring for everything, she just needed to be still. But that relief soon turned into something else. A quiet, strange kind of helplessness that crept into everything she did. That morning, Judith woke up earlier than usual. The air was cool. The sunlight outside felt gentle and fresh. She wanted to sit on the stone bench, breathe, and listen to the birds. She pressed the call button. No response. 10 minutes later, a young nurse walked in with a smile. "I'm sorry, Judith. I had to help room 3 first this morning. Can you wait just a bit?" Judith smiled. She was used to waiting. But by the time the nurse returned, the sun was already high. The incredible soft moment had passed, and what she had longed for slipped by simply because she couldn't open the door herself. The next day, she asked for a meal change. "Could I have steamed vegetables instead of the meatballs today?" she asked gently. The kitchen staff smiled politely. "Today's meatball day, ma'am. If you can't eat that, we can offer porridge." Judith nodded and realized, here, choices weren't choices. They were permissions, within a narrow range. One evening, she couldn't sleep. She turned on her bedside lamp, hoping to read a few more pages of the old book she brought from home. But 10 minutes later, a knock at the door. "Miss Judith, it's lights out time now." "That's a white light bulb. Not good for your eyes at night." She turned off the light. "Lay back." I stared at the ceiling. No more light, no more pages, and no more feeling like she could make even the smallest decision. Judith began to notice. Every part of her day was planned, not by her, but by a system. Once, she wanted to wear her old wool sweater, the one her husband bought when they were newly married, but the staff suggested a beige cardigan instead. "Much easier to put on, ma'am." Another time, she wanted to watch the morning news. The standard room TV was playing a comedy show. No remote, no one changed the channel. "Just enjoy it," an older friend said warmly. Judith stayed silent and sat there, watching the meaningless images dance across the screen. Little by little, even the tiniest things, what to wear, what to eat, what to watch, when to go out, all became things she had to request, wait for, or give up. No one stopped her. No one was rude. There were no raised voices, no forcing. It was just, everything was pre-programmed. And if she wanted to step outside that schedule, she became difficult. One night, Judith stood in front of the mirror, wearing the spotless white sleepwear provided by the home. She brushed her hair the way the staff said was neat, clean, easy to lie down in. She looked at herself and didn't recognize the woman in the reflection. The room was spotless. The bed was tidy. The closet was in perfect order. Everything was right. But nothing in that room belonged to her. Not the blanket, not the chair, not the light, not the hours, not the preferences, not the habits. Everything was comfortable. But this wasn't Judith Harris's life anymore. No one steals your freedom by force. They do it with a schedule. Have you ever been in a situation where your everyday life was no longer yours to decide? Share your story in the comments below. And if this chapter speaks to something profound in you, give it a like. And if you believe someone needs to hear this, please share the video with them. Chapter 2, A Lifetime Standing Tall. Slowly bends to loneliness. Michael Warner used to be a strong man. Tall, upright, clear eyes, and a deep, calming voice. He was the kind of person every grandchild felt safe sitting beside. He taught literature at a local high school for nearly 30 years. He wrote poetry. He fixed broken doors around the house and built a redwood bookshelf in the living room with his own hands. He poured the first cup of tea every Thanksgiving. He was the heart of every family story. But now, after 8 months in a nursing home, all of that feels like a quiet, fading past. When he first moved in, Michael still held on to his warmth. He chatted with people in the dining room. He brought a few of his favorite books. And in the first few weeks, his family visited him often. His oldest grandson, Ben, brought in a little bonsai tree they used to care for together. "I brought it for you, Grandpa. There's lots of sunlight here," the boy said, placing it on the windowsill. Michael smiled, gently touching the tiny leaves, as if holding on to something precious. They talked a lot in those early days. His daughter told him about work and her new kitchen. His son asked what he thought about trading in the car. His granddaughter hugged him tight, promising she'd come back next week. Michael believed he was still connected, that he'd changed addresses, not his place in the family. But then the promises started to stretch. "Next week's tough, Dad. We've got guests." "Sorry, Grandpa. I've got midterms. I'll try calling Sunday." "You're okay, right? You seem fine. I figured you've settled in by now." And soon, the visits became quick phone calls. Then sometimes, silence. Michael kept waiting. He didn't complain. He didn't show his sadness, but he grew quieter. His eyes lost a bit of their brightness, his steps a bit of their steadiness, and something in his mind began to blur. He used to write poetry every morning. He used to read the news and jot down his thoughts. Now he closed his leather notebook, placed it in a drawer, and didn't open it again. No one asked what he thought. No one needed his advice. No one asked him to write a birthday speech like he used to. Michael had been a father, a grandfather, a voice that mattered at home. Here, he was just bed 6. Once, he overheard a nurse say to another, "Did the old guy in bed 6 eat all his lunch today?" Her tone wasn't harsh, not rude, just part of the job. But that sentence pierced him like a cold knife, not because they were disrespectful, but because it was true. He had become a number, a step in a routine, a check mark on a care list, and that made him start to doubt himself. One morning, Michael walked to the window and looked at the bonsai tree. Its leaves had wilted, branches dry, no direct sunlight, no water. No one noticed. He reached out and touched it. The brittle limbs snapped with a faint crack, and he knew the tree had died, just like him, slowly drying out in silence. He no longer felt the need to wake up early. There is no reason to prepare anything for anyone. No one needed him to do anything. No one was waiting for him. And when you have nothing to do, no one who needs you, no one who remembers who you used to be, you start to believe you no longer matter. If you've ever watched someone slowly fade after moving far from family, type "I understand" in the comments below. Your story might make someone out there feel less alone. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss more stories that speak straight to the heart. Chapter 3. What the body and mind don't say. But still, endure. Dr. Evelyn Cross is 62 years old. With neatly pinned silver hair and sharp, perceptive eyes, she has worked in geriatric care for over 3 decades. She's watched hundreds, no, thousands, of older adults move into nursing homes, hoping for better health, a lighter burden, and a more peaceful life. But there's a quiet truth that few are brave enough to say out loud. Many of them decline faster than expected, not because of illness, but because of the very comfort that surrounds them. Evelyn remembers a patient named Thomas, 81. He had lived alone, cooked his meals, and took daily walks around his yard. But after moving into a nursing home, he started sitting more. Meals were brought to his bed. Clothes were laid out for him. Even short trips outdoors were done with staff assistance and a wheelchair. Within 3 months, he had lost nearly 30% of the muscle mass in his legs. A year later, he couldn't get up from a chair alone. Evelyn wasn't surprised. She knew when older adults stop moving, the body removes what it no longer uses. Muscles shrink, bones weaken, the cardiovascular system slows down. But even more troubling is what happens to the brain. Dopamine, the chemical that gives us drive and motivation, begins to fade when people stop engaging with life, when there are no more goals, no tasks to complete, no little challenges in the daily routine. The brain stops caring. Evelyn once described it as a kind of spiritual flatline. But it's not just about biology or physical activity. She says, in nursing homes, people don't just weaken because they move less. They weaken because they lose control over their bodies and private space. Every day, Evelyn sees once independent individuals, people proud of their self-sufficiency, now relying on others for things they once considered the bare minimum of being human. Using the bathroom, bathing, and dressing themselves. She's seen older men press a button to ask permission to take a shower, then wait. Wait for staff availability. Wait for their turn. And if they forget to press the button, they're gently reminded. That's not the proper procedure. She's cared for women who were once teachers, doctors, even caregivers themselves. Now standing still while a young staff member helps them into clean underwear, wipes their body, and changes their pads. Every action is done politely, respectfully, labeled with words like support, care, and assistance. But for those experiencing it, it's a quiet, ongoing form of intimate intrusion, and there's no way to say no. Evelyn recalls a patient named Edith. Edith had been a nurse for 40 years. She bathed, dressed, comforted, and encouraged others for a living. She never once complained, but now it was her turn. She had to live in a place where people were constantly touching her, even with good intentions. She needed someone to fasten her bra, to clean her body, to turn on the faucet. One day, a young aide opened the door quickly while Edith was changing. Edith said nothing. She pulled up the blanket and stared out the window. That night, when Evelyn came in to check her blood pressure, Edith said quietly, "I know they're doing the right thing, but sometimes I don't feel like I'm a person anymore." Evelyn didn't know what to say. She placed a hand on Edith's shoulder and nodded, because she knew that kind of sorrow doesn't need fixing. It needs witnessing. The issue isn't with the staff, not with the procedures, not with the system itself. The real issue is this. When someone loses control for too long, too deeply, too quietly, it begins to erode the very dignity they've spent a lifetime protecting. When you have to ask to do the most basic things, you start to question your worth. When others decide when you bathe, when you eat, when you rest, you begin to feel like there's nothing left to determine. And when you're wearing underwear someone else picked, in a room you didn't arrange, on a bed that doesn't carry your scent, you begin to wonder if this body, this life, still belongs to you. Evelyn always says, we can't stop aging, but we can stop stripping away the identity of the elderly. Losing your health isn't as frightening as losing the feeling that you're still human. Are you caring for an aging loved one at home? Comment one small thing you always do to preserve their privacy and dignity. And if you believe these truths matter, click like, because every share might shift how a generation sees aging. Chapter 4. As long as you're home, you still have a say. Lorenzo is 72, a retired carpenter. His wife, Martha, 70, is a former elementary school teacher. They live in a small, country-style home on the outskirts of Tucson, Arizona. It's not large, it's not fancy, but every corner holds a piece of history they built together over the past 40 years. A year ago, after Lorenzo slipped while wiping down the kitchen counter, their children sat them down for a serious talk. There's a great facility with doctors and nurses 24/7. Friends your age, no worries about anything, their daughter said, her voice full of love and concern. Lorenzo didn't respond right away. That night, he stepped out into the garden, stood by the orange tree he planted in 1993, and looked up at the trellis where the purple flowers started blooming. And in that moment, he understood. If he left this place, he wouldn't just be leaving a house, he'd be leaving himself. So they started researching another option, something called aging in place, growing old in their own home, but with the proper support. A few weeks later, Lorenzo and Martha hired a part-time caregiver, Emma, 38, who now comes each morning at 8:12. Emma helps check their medications, prepares breakfast, monitors blood pressure, and ensures everything in the house is safe. Lorenzo still brews coffee for his wife each morning. He still strolls around the garden. He still wipes down his old wooden workbench in the garage, though now he does it seated. Martha still keeps a journal. She still makes her lunch. She still waters the flower beds along the fence. They're no longer fast, but they're still in charge. They still choose when to wake up, what to eat, what to read, and when to go to bed. And most importantly, they still get to be themselves. Martha uses a medication reminder app that syncs to her smartwatch. Lorenzo installed fall detection devices near the bathroom sink and by the bed. If anything happens, the alert goes straight to their daughter's phone. Simple but powerful. They also receive some help through Medicare, which covers basic medical equipment and part of Emma's caregiving costs. Their son, who lives just 15 minutes away, comes by every Saturday afternoon, bringing fresh groceries and sometimes just a long, warm hug. What sets their life apart isn't that they're stronger than those in nursing homes. It's that they still have choices. Martha once told their geriatric doctor, Evelyn, "I'm not strong anymore, but I still get to decide how I live, and that keeps me more alive than any pill ever could." Freedom doesn't have to mean doing everything alone. Sometimes it simply means having the power to say, "Today, I want toast instead of porridge. This afternoon, I'd rather listen to jazz than watch the news. Tonight, I'm reading late, and no one's turning off the light for me." Aging in place isn't perfect. There are tired days. There are worries. But Lorenzo and Martha agree. They'd rather live slower and need more help than live inside a system where they're no longer the owners of their homes or their lives. On weekend mornings, Lorenzo still sits on the wooden bench by the fence, coffee cup in hand, watching Martha water the garden. And if you asked him whether living like this at 72 is hard, he'd smile and say softly, "Of course it's hard, but this is my life, and I've never once regretted keeping it." Not everyone can fully care for themselves, but everyone deserves the right to choose how they live. Do you know someone thriving at home in their 70s or 80s? Tag them in the comments, or type freedom if you believe staying at home is still the most beautiful choice. And don't forget to subscribe to explore more real-life ways to live independently, healthily, and with dignity in later years. Chapter 5. Once you step in, getting back isn't as easy as you think. When Mr. Warner first moved into the nursing home, he still walked tall, no walker. He folded his clothes. He jotted down lines for the poems he hadn't finished yet. He told his son he just wanted to try it for 3 months. "I'll give it a shot. If it's not right for me, I'll come back." His son nodded, relieved, and deep down, Mr. Warner believed it too, that this was only a pause, a place to rest his body, to stop bothering his children too much. Just a few months, that's all. But 6 months later, he was no longer the man he'd been on day one. Mornings no longer started with his familiar shoulder stretches. No one reminded him to water the plants. No one asked what he wanted for breakfast. He sat more, moved less. His legs were weaker. Sometimes he needed to grip the bed rail to stand. And the unfinished poem, forgotten by week 8. One afternoon, he called his son and said he wanted to come home. His voice was slow but steady. There was a pause on the other end. "Dad, do you think you can manage? The house has been empty for a long time. The water heater's broken. The alarm system is outdated. You're not as strong as you used to be." Mr. Warner said nothing. His son wasn't wrong. Things had changed ever since he'd left. A few weeks later, he asked again. This time, his daughter answered, "Dad, just stay. You're taken care of there." There are doctors. It's safer. If you come back, you'll have to do everything again. What if you fall? He understood. Their concern was genuine. But he also understood something else, something more painful. Every day he stayed, he became less able to return. It wasn't just about his body. It wasn't just the weak legs or fading habits. It was the quiet erosion of confidence. At the home, everything was arranged. Meals, medicine, schedules. Press a button. Someone came. And somewhere along the way, he'd forgotten how to manage independently, physically and mentally. One day, he overheard the news. His old house had been rented out, long term. His son hadn't said anything, afraid it would upset him. But Mr. Warner knew. He didn't blame anyone, but he understood deeply. A door had closed, and not everyone was strong enough to reopen it. Mrs. Ruth, who lived down the hall, once said she was only there for 3 months, just while the house gets fixed. But a year passed. She never mentioned the house again. She just sat by the window, occasionally asking, "What day is it today?" Dr. Evelyn, their geriatric doctor, said this was common. When older adults live in a place that's too supportive, they begin to lose the skills that help them survive, physically and mentally. And once those skills go unused, they don't just come back, even if they leave the facility, even if they return home. Because the real question isn't where they go, but who they've become after being there too long. Some can't go back because the house has been sold. Some can't because the money's gone. Some can't because no one is waiting for them. But most can't go back because they no longer believe they can. Michael, once the man with the straight back, now remembers only one sentence. "I used to think I could go back, but I've been here too long to still believe I can walk out." A nursing home is not a trap. It was built with good intentions. It protects, it cares, it lightens the load for families. But like a soft hammock, it can make you forget how to stand. And once you forget, it's not easy to remember again. A nursing home is not a trap, but stepping in without careful thought can become a dead end. If you've ever seen someone lose the ability to return to life outside after moving into a facility, leave an emoji in the comments to honor the parts of them that were lost. And if you're seriously considering this decision, like, share, and subscribe, because what you hear today could change your choice forever. Conclusion: there are choices in life that you don't get to redo, and the most frightening ones often come dressed in comfort. A kind offer from your children, a brightly lit room with someone ready to help, a hot meal has already been served, a neatly made bed, a life that seems easier. But sometimes, behind that ease, things quietly begin to slip away. Daily routines, a sense of purpose, your voice within the family, the drive to wake up with meaning, the strength to stand up, cook your meal, or open the door to your porch. And most heartbreaking of all, the fading feeling of simply being yourself. We didn't make this video to criticize nursing homes. Some people genuinely do need full-time care. Some situations leave no other option. But what we do want to emphasize is this: know precisely what you're giving up before you say yes, because you may think, "I'll try it for 3 months." But after just 6 months, you may no longer be the person you were on day 1. Your body may weaken, your confidence may shrink, connections may fade, the house may be rented out, the money may run low, and your courage may fall asleep. We've heard the real stories of Judith, Michael, Edith, Lorenzo, and Martha. Each one is a piece of a very real picture of aging. Some chose to trade freedom for safety and live with quiet regret. Some decided to keep their independence and live more slowly but with dignity. Not everyone can live entirely on their own, but everyone deserves the right to choose how they live. If you're standing at a crossroads, nursing home or staying home, pause for a moment. Don't choose because it's convenient. Don't choose because someone says it's safer. Don't choose out of fear of being a burden. Choose because you clearly understand what your daily life will look like inside that choice. Will you still be able to read a book at 10 p.m.? Eat your favorite dish, even if it's not on the menu? Open the window in the morning and breathe in the grass? Sit beside the bonsai you've tended for 10 years? If the answer is no, then maybe that place is not where you belong. This isn't just a story about old age. It's a story about freedom, about dignity, about love. We made this video so you, or someone you care about, won't have to sit by a window in a place that feels unfamiliar and whisper to themselves, "I wish I had thought this through." One well-timed decision can change the rest of your life. If you're weighing this choice or know someone who is, please share this video with them. You never know what the correct information at the right moment can help preserve. And if you genuinely believe that freedom in old age is worth protecting, leave one word in the comments: home or facility. No long message, just one word to show what you're choosing. Thank you for staying with us until the end. If you feel what we've shared matters, please like, share, and subscribe to Graceful Aging Co. We're not here to speak for anyone. We're just here to remind you, aging can still be the freest chapter of your life, if you choose to keep it that way.